Entrepreneurs in Focus. Hear their stories and tips on starting a business. Learn from successful entrepreneurs here at the UNT Murphy Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation.
I am president of HarDam Hotels and Housing. My current role is overseeing the entire development, acquisition, and capital raising process that we lead whenever we are developing from ground up a new hotel development or acquiring a hotel and renovating and repositioning that asset. My role is to work with the partnership or individual who we are either developing or acquiring an asset for, or an asset that we are developing or acquiring for our own portfolio. And we manage the entire team, from architects, engineers, capital raising, finance, lending team, franchisors, brands that we will bring into that development for that particular project. And if it's multifamily, doing some of the same things along with acquiring the land, getting the financing, working with housing, urban development, if it's a HUD multifamily finance project, things of that nature. My inroads into entrepreneurship actually just started as a child growing up. I am really a third generation entrepreneur. My grandmother on my mother's side owned her own restaurant, and this was before I was born, but just got to say it's in the blood. My mother and father, when I was born, actually in 1974, started their own gas station and grocery store, convenience store. My father formerly was a route manager for Nabisco, served a lot of gas station and grocery stores, saw it as a good opportunity to start his own business. He and my mother just took that leap of faith and started their own in 1974. So I grew up in a household of entrepreneurs in that business, in business all my life, and did that until I went to college with my family. And knowing in college that I wanted to own my own business, I just decided at that time it was not going to be gas stations and grocery stores. It was time for something new, and we just saw the profits eroding in that business for some time as I got older. I attended University of North Texas, attended the College of Business, focused on the accounting program initially. But the whole time, my mindset and focus was what would be the business that I would start for myself. I had the opportunity. I actually started out, my first job was with Ryan and Company, actually G. Brent Ryan, which our College of Business is named after. Brent was my boss coming out of college. So learned a lot from Brent, watched him grow that company. At the same time, I was able to find what industry I really wanted to start my business in. And it just so happens it was the hotel business. As I worked as a corporate sales and use tax auditor, I stayed in many hotels, traveled around the United States for the clients that I served while working at Ryan and Company. And staying in those hotels, that was the piece that I identified as a good business that I saw the parking lots full, saw that they had to be making money, and it just led me to start educating myself on that particular industry and that area of business. Long story short, as I educated myself, met with many people, worked on weekends, at nighttime, learning about that business, lo and behold, I convinced my mother and father to partner with me in developing and owning our first hotel, which was a Hampton by Hilton hotel based in Houston, Texas. And we opened that hotel back in about 2000. We found actually that we got a lot of support from Hilton. We got a lot of support actually from the first lender that we went to. We got approved for our loan for our hotel. My mother and father, fortunately, had at that time maybe over 20 plus years, if not 25 plus years in business, and have been very successful, not only in the gas station grocery store business, but also doing a lot of single family and multifamily real estate. They broadened their scope as we went along. But what we learned when we pursued our first hotel was, even though we had business experience and we were entrepreneurs and good stewards of our money, we didn't have hotel experience. The first lender, as I said, approved us. Hilton approved us. Right as we got that first loan, September 11th happened. We had the disaster in New York, the World Trade Center, and the deaths that occurred there. That economic downturn and downfall really affected our plan, our schedule, our concern about meeting the schedule that the bank had already set for us and the franchise Hilton had already set for us. So we had to go back out for a new loan, and we found that many lenders were not giving loans on hotels at that time. So I had to go out to 22 banks. I'll never forget it. I had to go out to 22 banks after getting a commitment for the first one and losing it just because we couldn't meet the schedule. After September 11th, 22 banks, in that 22nd bank, we finally found a commitment from a very strong lender. Now, I think the bank is called Branch Banking and Trust, BB&T, but they gave us a commitment on our loan. And I would say that was the initial challenge we found with an economic downturn being in business. And from that point, we also found that since we did not have the hotel experience, that lender actually required that one of the partners go and learn more about the hotel business before they finalized the loan commitment. So I actually doctored up my resume, removed some of the experience that I had received over the last 3 or 5 years after college. And I went and got myself a job as a sales manager at a local hotel without anyone knowing that I had a signed franchise agreement for a Hampton by Hilton, just to show that bank that I was going to learn what they felt I did not know about this business. And I'll never forget it. The lender came back about 3 months later to visit me, and he asked me, he said, "James, I love your location. I love your brand. I love the fact that your family has business experience and you've been successful." He said, "However, you guys just don't have hotel experience, and we're concerned with the downturn in the economy that we're currently still under after September 11th. Can you all step up to the front desk and manage that business hands-on if things continue to get worse or get worse at any other time during your ownership of that hotel asset?" And I went into my coat jacket and I pulled out my business card and handed it to him and showed him that I was a sales manager at a hotel down the street, while at the same time in the evenings and weekends, I was working on the design and permitting of the hotel that we would soon be ready to build and develop. And it was just an exciting moment for me. And it just goes, and I think that was a foundation for me, because it just goes to show, even though there are obstacles and challenges, whether it was the economy, September 11th, losing the first loan, having to go to 22 banks to get another loan, having to go get a job at a hotel to prove to somebody, not only have we been successful in our past businesses, we can be successful in this one. The point is, every time someone told us there was something that we didn't have or we needed, it was up to myself and my partners to go and find a way to get it done. And I just believe that's the foundation of being a good entrepreneur, a good businessman, good businesswoman. You want something, you need to get something done, whatever it takes, you find a way to get it done. Regarding blind spots and the lessons that I've learned, I think one good example, recent development over the past, it was probably about 2 years old now, but it was a great hotel project. It was a Marriott brand, a great location in Houston. So we had a great design, a great group of investors who've invested with me on many hotel and multifamily projects in the past. And we chose a lender that we hadn't worked with before, which came as a recommendation from one of my partners. We had a general contractor that we chose that we hadn't used before. What we experienced in this whole situation was when we had issues with the general contractor cutting corners to cut cost on their end so they could be more profitable, not having the manpower to really manage all of the day-to-day needs of this project. They were a small company compared to probably what we should have had on a project that size. And then a lender that probably wanted to dictate but not take liability and responsibility. And we listened to them because they carried the note, the money. Long story short, we find ourselves not controlling the project like we usually do. The project took longer than it should have taken. It cost us more than it should have cost. We had to go back and fix some things that should have been built properly before by the first general contractor and completed in better form than it was. More quality control needed to be involved, or we needed the quality of work should have been better, and we had to go back and make those corrections. So I think what I learned in that is, even after 18 years at that time in this business, I thought I was a very good business person, a very good hotelier, and a very good developer. But one of the things I learned, that I am responsible for everything that goes on as president of this company. And no matter if the mistakes are made by someone else, I'm still ultimately responsible. But when I thought about it, I said to myself, if I'm going to continue to do this, continue to bring investors into deals, continue to take the risk financially myself, personally, the liability personally, the loans were guarantees, then I needed to know what some of the other team members knew about design and construction if I'm going to control this process a little better going forward. I went back to school and signed up for a construction management degree and my MBA, and did that at nighttime and part-time on the side. And actually, I'm finishing that up right now. And I did that simply because I don't want to be a builder. I don't want to be a general contractor. I don't want to be an architect, but I do want to understand better what they should be doing for my partnership so I can manage their processes, so I can better manage my investors' investments. And I had to be very prayerful and patient and persistent and persevere through it. And today I can say that now I have that experience. I also now have gone back and got some better education. I feel very good going back now, doing the projects that we're working on now, and picking the right team, picking the right lender, picking the right investors. And I may not be right on every point now, but I feel very comfortable with the experience and the education, that I'm very prepared. I can check a lot more boxes. I can do my due diligence a lot better. And it, you know what, it just really goes to show me, and I believe it will show many entrepreneurs as they experience different things in their area of business. You're not going to learn it all in the classroom. You're not going to learn it all on one or two deals or experiences with a client or vendor or project. It is a cycle over time that you're going to learn from different experiences, different projects. You're going to learn from your failures, and you need to learn from your failures. It is part of your education, and some of it can be really costly financially. We've been there, done that, and no telling what the future may bring, but I feel very, very comfortable and prepared for what the future holds, because we learned a lesson on a project that was probably $10 million in value. And now today we're building projects that are $70 million in value, and we've been very successful, and we anticipate that will just continue to grow.